From creeping around abandoned hospitals to buying goods from a cat, Ghostwire Tokyo has a bit of everything, and yet feels like no game we've ever played before. We previewed Ghostwire last month, and back then we described it as Far Cry meets Doctor Strange. We've since had hands-on with the first 2 chapters of the game, and it's evident that this game has so much more to offer than just that. We're sure you share the notion that between all of the teasers and trailers thus far, it's hard to really pin down just what this game is trying to be. Is it a survival horror, another action sci-fi, a martial arts magic thriller? Well, after a couple of hours in game, that question has become a little bit easier to answer. The game starts as a mysterious and unknown force wipes out almost everyone in Shibuya. You play as Akito, who managed to survive after being possessed by a supernatural spirit detective named KK, gaining supernatural powers himself in the process. This event hasn't left Tokyo empty, however, as it's now populated by demonic entities that harvest the souls left over in the city for unknown nefarious purposes. One thing is for sure though, they don't like the presence of Akito or KK. But how do you fight these? Well, combat utilises your new supernatural abilities. Instead of guns, you fight with fancy hand gestures inspired by Kujikira, which is a type of martial art originating from the Shugendo religion. These feel quick, snappy and responsive to use, which contrasts well against the slower pace of exploration in the rest of the game. It makes the combat feel full of energy and excitement. All of this is great for a reason, however, as it's Shinichiro Hara who contributed to Doom's combat and glory kill system who worked on Ghostwire's combat. In an interview back in 2020, Hara said, "In order to achieve this, we chose intricate, delicate hand gestures as the primary weapons, instead of simple guns. Unlike guns, our gestures allow us to put a lot more movement and personality into the player action, as the player's hands are an organic extension of the character." Another name attached to Ghostwire is Shinji Mikami, best known for Resident Evil, and some of the weirdness that he's known for is definitely present in the first few hours of Ghostwire, blending traditional Japanese folklore with more modern themes. For example, cats in this game are shopkeepers that you can buy things from, which reflects how cats are represented in Japanese culture as symbols of fortune and good luck. On the other end of the scale, there are yurei, Japanese ghosts that resemble creepy figures found in traditional Japanese folk stories. You'll come across tall, suited figures at the start of the game, which are based on the Nopperabo legend of faceless ghosts dressing as humans to frighten people. This combo of old folklore with modern twists makes playing Ghostwire feel completely original. So you may have heard that Ghostwire is open world, and you'd be right. Exploring Tokyo feels like no other game, as for a world that's supposed to be devoid of life, it feels more full to explore than any other open world games like Far Cry, whose worlds are lifeless playgrounds by comparison. There are no outposts to clear, no gear labelled by tiers, just countless enemies with no level gates to encounter. You can use Shibuya's underground metro system to get around quickly, but you'll have the most fun just wandering through the streets above. There's also no towers to scale to reveal the map. One mission in Chapter 2 has you climb an observation deck, laying out all of Tokyo in front of you to see from above, including important landmarks that you need to find. The whole thing feels really organic and real. No clusters of markers on your map, no endless quest logs. It's supposed to be a ghost town, but it never really feels like it. It's what open worlds should be. Ghostwire Tokyo is slated for release on PC and PlayStation 5 on March 25th, 2022. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you're interested in Ghostwire, as we'll be sharing more thoughts on the game closer to launch. I've been Josh Boyles for GameByte, and I'll catch you in the next one.